Hey, how's it going, Brandon? It's me, Zach, again, and we're back here with another video. So I'm sure by now you've probably watched all the other videos, or at least I hope so, because I spent a lot of time making sure so that you'd understand every single matchup that it's possible for you to face against, based off matchups that I know that we'll see at the tournaments, matchups that I know that you've been frustrated against when you've played during coaching sessions. This will show you how to play each matchup properly with me playing your exact deck list, your PikaRom deck. Even though the cards might be different arts on my accounts, it's the exact same deck list that you have built right now in real life that you've been playing in tournaments. So we got that, and today we're going to be playing against Gardevoir Sylveon, or GardEon. This is the type of deck that's fairy type, and they will put the fairy charms on it, the lightning type one, so your GX Pokemon cannot attack at all. So this is a matchup where I want to showcase how strong Lysander Labs is and how to actually beat this matchup. So we'll go step by step on how to play it against the Rare Candy accounts. So we're going to be playing some great opponents on there. So let's see exactly how it goes. As always, remember to watch the deck profile video for the GardEon deck, the video right before this, so you get to learn exactly the cards that are in there. I have a hunch that they're going to be running two lightning energy, or two of the fairy charm lightning types. Sorry, there's so many words in those sentences, so many words in those cards that it's going to stop our GX Pokemon. So we want to make sure, again, Lysander Labs in that matchup. Make sure you watch the other video so that you're able to see exactly what's in their deck, learn more about that deck. And yeah, let's just jump into some games right now using your exact list. All right, so they're playing all psychic types. Let's call Tails. And they're going to choose who goes first. So we got no basic Pokemon, that's fine. Hopefully we start with a Jirachi. It's the best start that we have in this in general. And it's okay to mulligan, doesn't matter that much. And we started with Zeraora. That's fine. And we're going to be playing against the deck that Stephane Ivanoff, one of the best players in the game, he used to make top 8 at the Cologne regionals in Germany. So our opponent here started with a Xerneas. So not a Gardevoir Sylveon. They play this Pokemon in the deck so that you have to knock out 3 of their Pokemon instead of just 2 Gardevoir Sylveon GX. So they're going to grab a Greens and a Power Plant. That might slow us down a little bit. But they're not playing the Power Plant down. So we're stuck in a tough position where we want to go Electromagnetic Radar, discarding another Electromagnetic Radar. We want to grab a PikaRom and we want to grab a Dedenne. Do we have access to our Lysander Prism, or our Lysander Labs? We do. So there's a Pikachu Zekrom. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's play this down, just because we're about to discard our hand, and let's see what Custom Catcher brings us. So we did get a Raichu and a Alolan Raichu. That's not too bad. Let's get a Dedenne, and let's try to draw into some good cards here. Maybe a Lightning Energy. Awesome. So let's go for a Lightning Energy, an Energy Switch. Let's go Pokecom, a Raichu and a Alolan Raichu to get out a Jirachi. And our opponent plays a lot of Power Plant cards, so I'm assuming they are going to bump our stadium next turn, considering they grabbed a Power Plant anyways. So we're going to retreat here into the Jirachi. And we are full prepared with a Thunder Mountain Prism Star for next turn. So let's put the escape board on this Jirachi. And we're fully ready for whatever our opponent can offer. And let's go Energy Switch 2 to move our energy to the Pikachu Zekrom. So let's pass our turn here. So I wonder what they're going to greens for. Probably just a Cherish Ball and something to get an energy. Cherish Ball, they're going to grab a Gardevoir Sylveon. There's an Energy Spinner. Grab a light Psychic Energy there. And maybe they're going to power up. Yo, I always get those confused. Fairy Energy. They only play Fairy Energies. And let's see, I think they're probably going to attach it to their Gardevoir Sylveon on the bench, or they're going to use Overrun. Looks like they're going to go for the Overrun technique to start lowering some of our HP. So they got to choose 20 damage on one of our benched Pokemon. Dedenne seems like the best choice because they can knock it out with a Kaleido Storm. So here, let's use Stellar Wish. We did get an Electro Power that will allow us to get the knockout on their active. And it's good to have Jirachi in this matchup because if our opponent ever reset stamps us or uses Magical Miracle GX, they can get us down to either 0 cards in our hand or a very low amount of cards in our hand with a reset stamp. So we want to have Jirachi to be able to draw out of that situation. So here we're going to go PikaRom. We're going to bump our own Lysander Labs so that we have access to Thunder Mountain. We can now retreat because Lysander Labs was preventing us from retreating. And there's an Electro Power. So we're all ready to use full Blitz. There's a knockout on the Xerneas GX. And we want to power up 3 energies to one of our Pokemon. Probably just want to go with Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX here. Because Lightning Ride GX with a Electro Power can knock out a Gardevoir Sylveon. So there's a Lightning Energy, and what's our other prize? A Zapdos. So Zapdos can actually attack them, even if they have a Fairy Charm Lightning attached to them, because Zapdos is not a GX Pokemon. So they're going to bump our Thunder Mountain Prism Star. That's fine. And we have no abilities, and now they're going to reset stamp us. So this is exactly what I'm saying. This deck is 100% all about the reset stamps. So we did get a Tapu Koko Prism Star, and we did get a Cynthia, so we're in pretty great shape. If our opponent doesn't get another basic Pokemon down, it is possible for us to win the game next turn. So they're just going to go Fairy Song. They can't get any other Pokemon there. So let's go Tapu Koko Prism Star. Let's go ahead and play Cynthia. We didn't get another Lightning Energy, which is really rough. So we can't retreat because of Power Plants. We can't attach an energy, and the only card that we could play in our hand is Reset Stamp. So we're going to go ahead here and pass our turn. That was a really rough turn for us, but there's nothing that we could do about it. We could play Reset Stamp, but our opponent had 6 cards in their hand, and they had 6 prize cards left. So there's another Gardevoir Sylveon. I'm assuming they're just going to be using Fairy Song to it. Maybe they'll play a Green's Exploration. Oh, they're going to play a Coach Trainer to draw some cards. Maybe they'll naturally draw into the Fairy Charm Lightning. We'll see exactly what our opponent does here. So they're going to power up that Pokemon on the bench. So we're going to go Volkner here to grab a Lightning Energy. We can grab a Switch. Let's switch into our Jirachi. Use Stellar Wish. See what we can grab. Electropower's not going to do much for us. We can grab a Lysander Labs, though, in our hands. I think it's better for us to hold on to the Lysander Labs in our hands. And since our opponent has more than enough cards in their hand, let's go ahead and play Reset Stamp on them. And we could power up this PikaRom. Don't want to play Lysander Labs down. Let's waste another card out of our deck. Let's grab a Zorora. And we could just grab another card here. Let's just grab a Jirachi. That seems fine. I'm completely fine with that. We don't need other energies here, so let's retreat and attack with Raichu and Alolan Raichu for 160 damage and paralyze them so they can't use Fairy Song next turn. They might be able to get out of that with a switch or with a Mixed Herbs if they do play it. I don't think that this list plays Mixed Herbs from what I saw. But some Gardevoir Sylveon decks do. We'll see exactly what our opponent got off of their Reset Stamp. And if they grab another Gardevoir Sylveon out of their deck, they don't want to play it down on their bench because it does give us ways to get around their Fairy Charm Lightning Pokemon tool. It's always good to sometimes check through your discard piles, see exactly what's going through, see exactly what your options are. There's a great potion that's going to heal some damage off their active. There's a Wondrous Lab. It's going to cost us an extra energy to attack. And we can only retreat here. We don't have options to attack. I don't necessarily like attacking with Lysander Labs here. But seems like the best thing that we can do. So let's do Lysander Labs. They only have 150 HP left. Let's retreat, attack with this, and let's go full blitz onto their active. And let's power up our Raichu and Alolan Raichu on the bench. So this would really suck if our opponent got a Fairy Charm Lightning out, because that's our last Lysander Labs. But we are down to one prize card left. Seems like a great turn for our opponent. They're already taking away our Lysander Labs. They're going for a Pokegear. If they get a Green's Exploration, we might be in trouble. Unless they prize both of their Fairy Charm Lightning Pokemon tools, it seems very likely that they're just going to attach one to their Gardevoir Sylveon. So there's a custom catcher, there's a fairy charm. So now we can't attack with our GX and EX Pokemon. We can only attack with Zapdos and Tapu Koko Prism Star. And looks like they're going to be bringing up one of our Pokemon. There's Tapu Koko Prism Star, so that's one of our only options available to attack. I think this game might be over for us. So it's possible for you to fall into traps. Let's see exactly what our options are. Let's send up Jirachi. We could paralyze their active Pokemon. We can use Stellar Wish here. There's an Electro Power. And you can see with Stadium Nav, even if we get heads, which we got a heads here, we have no other stadiums to bump their power plants, and we've already wasted our 2 Lysander Labs. So it was unfortunate that we had to play a Lysander Labs early on in the game. Otherwise, we just win here with Electro Power, Lightning Ride GX. But that's not always possible. So let's go with one of our only options that we have. Retreat. And we can always paralyze them. So special conditions do get through the Fairy Charm Lightning. But it doesn't matter if we paralyze them a whole bunch. There's another Fairy Charm Lightning. That's pretty tough for us. I don't think our opponent's going to play down another Gardevoir Sylveon. So this could be one of our most difficult matchups, especially if we fall into this situation where we had to waste one of our Lysander Labs early. You want to be able to hold on to your Lysander Labs for this matchup. So there's another Fairy Song. They're just going to keep on powering themselves up. And the issue that we have here, maybe our opponent doesn't have another Psychic Energy in their hands. Or another Fairy Energy. I always get those two confused for whatever reason. Let's just go ahead and use Tandem Shock. They've already used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 energies. So it looks like they only have access to a couple more. Maybe one more. I think the list plays 9 Fairy energies. So if they don't have another one, if it's in their prize cards, then it might be tough. But there's the energy spinner to get the other one. They're just going to start attacking us one turn at a time. Doesn't matter if we can't attack them. And this is I'm not going to concede this game, but when you run out of Lysander Labs and you run out of ways to keep on paralyzing them each turn, and they have access to power plants. Right now they've only played 2 power plants and 1 Wondrous Lab. They still have access to 2 more power plants in their deck. It is very tough for us to win. How many tag switches have they used? 1? So let's go with other options on what they might have prized. Let's go for Volkner. And let's go for, well, I guess we don't have access to any more custom catchers. So there's a Lightning. There's an Escape Board. We've already used 2 custom catchers so far this game. Our other custom catcher is in our prize cards. So let's do the absolute best we can. Let's go switch. Send up Jirachi. Let's use Stellar Wish. Might as well grab something. Let's attach a lightning energy there. Let's use Electro Power. Treat, send up Zapdos, and let's go for Thunderous Assault. So we can get through with Thunderous Assault. However, they're likely just going to knock us out. There's other ways we are able to win this game, though. It is possible for us to maybe deck them out. They've already used 2 custom catchers, so maybe if we could somehow survive the next 6 turns, we'd be able to deck them out. Think about other alternative win conditions while you're playing Pokemon. And we have no other attackers that we could use against their deck. Let's send up Jirachi. And let's try to get around as much as possible. So we have 10 cards left in our deck. Our opponent has 6. Let's use Stellar Wish here. Might as well grab an Electromagnetic Radar. And since this Jirachi in the active gives us free retreat, let's just retreat into this Jirachi. There's no reason not to use Stellar Wish again. Although we don't want to be grabbing things out of our deck that we don't need because we're trying to deck out our opponent right now. Maybe our opponent does not have access to other cards to shuffle their hand into their deck. So let's just pass. So now our opponent has 5 cards left in their deck. So there's a Kaleidostorm. Let's send up another Jirachi. And if our opponent has double custom catchers, they win the game. That's just how it's going to go. They'll just knock out Raichu and Alolan Raichu. But maybe we'll be able to paralyze them. Based off of Stephane's list, I think Stephane plays Switch. There's already a Switch in the discard pile. It just comes down to remembering how many copies of Switch does Stephane play. I think Stephane plays 4 copies of Switch to be able to get out of the active position. So if we did paralyze them with Tandem Shock, they could just switch out of it and win the game. So we don't want to try to use Tandem Shock to waste another turn. So let's go retreat into this PikaRom. Let's get some cards out of our deck. Let's grab a Raichu and a PikaRom, because we could always retreat out of those if necessary. Let's use our item cards, like Tag Switch, to move this to another one of our Pokemon. So we're trying to deck out our opponent here. They might still be able to win. We never know, but we'll be able to find out. Let's go ahead and, well, we could always use Full Blitz. So our opponent now has 4 cards left in their deck. If they have double custom catchers, they win the game. There's Coach Trainer. They're drawing all the remaining cards. They're probably checking to see if they had the other custom catcher in the deck, which is a great strategy. And there's bringing up the Raichu. So if that custom catcher ended up being the last prize card, we would have won the game right there. So it just gives you a good idea to always stick into games when you are playing them. So we'll play another game after this. We saw exactly what we were supposed to do. We just had some things get in the way a little bit. So we'll go first this game because we'll play it as if it was any major event, any tournament ever, because the loser always gets to choose who gets to go first. So I'll shoot over another challenge to our pals at Rare Candy. Shouts out to them for helping out with this video. Totally appreciate the help. And let's see exactly what's going on in this game, Brandon. So same matchup as before, Gardevoir Sylveon. We saw how pesky those fairy charms were in the last game. And let's go Tails. So we already won the coin flip. That's great for us. So we're going first. This could be super helpful for us. We started again with the Lysander Labs in our hands. And similar to the other videos, it's better to start with Pikachu Zekrom GX if you can't start with Jirachi. And the reason why is because you could always tag switch the energies off of it onto another one. So we're going to start with that. And since we're going first, we don't need to put down another basic Pokemon because we could always make that decision on our turn during the game. So we're going to put it down. Seems pretty good. We don't want to put Lysander Labs. We want to save those for the middle of the game when we're actually attacking these Gardevoir Sylveons. Attaching right there. And let's go right for a Cynthia. Oh, we kind of got a really rough hand there with double Custom Catcher, double Electro Power, Lysander Labs, and a Lightning Energy. But our opponent doesn't know that. So whenever you have a bad hand, it's always good to keep the same face as you always have when you're playing Pokemon, because you never know what's going to happen next turn. Maybe our opponent thinks we have a great hand and they're going to play Reset Stamp. Maybe another deck will play a Judge. Maybe we'll top deck a Thunder Mountain Prism Star. Doesn't matter. Let's just pass here, because that's all we can do. And they already got the Fairy Charm out there, so that's really tough for us to deal with. This is absolutely one of our most difficult matchups, but let's make it our goal to kind of see how much this matchup, what we can do in it. You never know when you're going to have your opportunity to win a game. Okay, it looks like our opponent's all set up there. So we are able to... We aren't able to attack this turn. But we do have a Lightning Energy there. We don't want to discard any cards from our hands. So there's not really much we could do. The best thing that we can do here is pass. One of the key strategies in Pokemon is sometimes when you have a plan or if your hand's not great, you just have to pass. Be patient. It will pay off. So let's see what our opponent does here. So they're just going to go Fairy Song. That's fine. Here we have options. And our options basically look like it's a good idea to knock out the active. Or we can knock out the bench. What seems better? Well, first and foremost, I think we have to knock out the active. So let's go electromagnetic radar, discarding custom catcher and a switch. Since we have to use the Lysander Labs to knock out the active and we need to search out a Dedenne this turn, seems like a great plan. Let's get a Raichu because Raichu is one of our best attackers in this matchup. So since we need to knock out the active, time to put down our Lysander Prisms, our Lysander Labs. We have Electro Power 1, Electro Power 2, Raichu. Let's see what we get off this custom catcher. So we actually got a Volkner to get our third Electro Power and a Lightning Energy. So we could actually get an attack off this turn by using full Blitz. So that's 180, 210, 240. We actually have to use Tag Bolts. So I shouldn't have grabbed the other Electro Power. That was me doing some incorrect math. But we are able to power it up for next turn. That's completely fine. Let's go ahead. And since I made a mistake, sometimes you got to live with your mistake. And we're going to go Dedenne here. We just have to discard it. There's an escape board. And let's go Tag Bolt GX. Plus 60 is the knockout. We could have played the other one, but it doesn't necessarily matter. We are getting the knockout here. 1 prize card, 2 prize cards, 3 prize cards. Our opponent's probably going to play a reset stamp on us. There's a power plant. That's why we had to play the Dedenne last turn, because we got to predict that our opponent's going to be playing that. And our opponent's probably hoping that they get a Fairy Charm Lightning Energy. And there's a Green's Exploration to try and get it. Maybe it's in their prize cards. Nope, they definitely got it right there, and they're grabbing a coach trainer to try to draw some cards for next turn. They're bringing up our Raichu and Alolan Raichu. And that's going to take advantage of Power Plant right there. So we can't retreat it with Zorora's ability. Thunderclap Zone. Probably just going to hit us with Kaleidostorm. And they could have decided to hold on to that tag switch just because they could have moved the energies with Kaleidostorm, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so let's put this Dedenne away with Pokemon Communication. We can get out of Zapdos. We can always attack with Zapdos if we want to. There's that. Let's put down a Jirachi. And let's try to bump this if it's possible. So, looks like they're going to take an easy knockout on our Pokemon. That's completely fine. Got Zapdos already there. Can't do much else about it. They just got us into a rough hand, and that's sometimes fine. So let's see exactly what our opponent's going to do here. I think they're just going to knock out our Raichu and Alolan Raichu. So since we have an escape board, we can always send up our Jirachi. And let's see what Stellar Wish brings us. So we did get a Lysander Labs. This is our last Lysander Labs of the game. So we do need to keep note of that. Does it make sense for us to use Lysander Labs? I think it does here, because we could always try to get a reset stamp this turn. And this is one of those things where you find yourself making a mistake with Lysander Labs. So you got to be careful when you're playing this card, and it even catches players like myself off guard, because I want to retreat the Jirachi into the PikaRom, but now my tool has no effect, so I can't retreat. So this is one of those moments where I basically sacrifice my entire turn to my opponent, and that's even with me trying to play as carefully as possible. So that's one thing you got to be careful about with your deck, and I'm glad we saw this happen, because it gives you an extra reminder to be careful with Lysander Labs. I don't necessarily think we were going to be able to win this game, but you want to know what? We still have a chance here. Let's go with Dedenne, and maybe we'll be able to get a switch. And we can do some cool stuff here. Let's just go Stadium Nap to see if what we have in our deck, if it's able to search through. So we can get a switch off, but we don't have a great chance to get switch and reset stamp. We can only grab one or the other. So let's grab a Thunder Mountain out of the deck, because it doesn't matter if we play it at all. Let's go for Energy Switch from here to here. What has our opponent played? We don't want them to heal, and that's a big deal. I think our best chance at making anything happen is to go Cynthia. We can guarantee the switch with Volkner, but it's very possible our opponent tries to do something else. So let's try to use Cynthia to get switch and reset stamp. And unfortunately for us, we got neither of them. So this is when our opponent just takes control of the game. They're probably going to knock out our Jirachi, bump our Lysander Labs, and then we have no other options to really be attacking our opponent's Pokemon. With our opponent having 21 cards in our deck, it's very unlikely that we deck them out. Okay, so there's our Lysander Labs gone. And our opponent's likely just going to knock out our Jirachi here. And reset stamp us too. Watch us get our reset stamp and switch. That's usually how it works. Nope, just 3 lightning energies. Okay, there's the knockout, and I think our best option here is to attack with Zapdos. Let's send up our Dedenne here. Attach to our Zorora, retreat, and attack with Thunderous Assault. Our opponent, who has not used all of their custom catchers, is probably going to use both of their custom catchers to knock out our Dedenne with Magical Miracle GX this turn. Of course, they just want to heal all the damage we did with Great Potions. There's the custom catchers. And that was a rough game for us, but that's okay. It totally happens. So let's play another game. See if we are actually able to beat this deck. It's frustrating to play against, and it's a matchup you don't want to see. So we'll try again. See exactly how this time goes. And we're going to go first again. And we'd love to go first. Here we want to start with probably our Raichu, because we can always tag switch to our PikaRom if we're able to top deck it. Since we're going first, we don't want to play any other Pokemon down. And we did top deck a Volkner. So we're just going to grab probably a Stadium Nav, because we have our Thunder Mountain Prism Star for next turn. And we already have 2 Lightnings in our hands, so we don't really want to grab another one. Since we're planning on just going for a Volkner for next turn, let's do this. Attach there. We might as well put Zorora down. And let's just pass our turn. So we'll see exactly what our opponent's going to do with their turn. There's a Pokegear. So Green's Exploration, they're probably going to grab an Energy Spinner, and they're probably going to grab... Oh, there's a Coach Trainer. Maybe they'll go Coach Trainer. They have lots of options that they could be doing this turn. See what they grab out the Green's Exploration. Maybe an Energy Spinner to grab an Energy and another Cherish Ball. That sounds like a pretty good turn for them. And pretty much exactly what I was predicting. So there's their fairy song powering up on the first turn. Their deck can be very quick. And let's start off our turn by playing Stadium Nav. There's the heads that we needed. Yay! Thunder Mountain. And it should be noted that we do have a Lysander Prism Star, or Lysander Labs prize this game. So we're going to go switch here, send up the PikaRom, lightning onto this PikaRom, Thunder Mountain so we can't attack, Custom Catcher, let's draw a couple cards. Might as well put a Jirachi down, might as well put a Tapu Koko Prism Star down, and let's power up for a full blitz. Our opponent might be able to heal some of this off for next turn. Not entirely sure. But I think it's best for us to power up for this Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX. Even if they play a power plant, we can always retreat for free with Zorora because we have another stadium card in our hands. Oh, they're just going to go double Great Potion. That's super annoying for us. There's one Great Potion. There's another Great Potion. Ah, and they're just going for switch. So they might go for a Kaleidostorm here. They might want to go for... Yep, there's a Kaleidostorm. Okay. And they can move their energies around however they like. Here, I'm just completely fine going for another full blitz. If they somehow get the knockout, I'm completely fine with that. And I think this deck it doesn't play too many healing cards. It just plays 2 copies of Great Potion based off the deck profile video we did. So we know that our opponent's not going to be healing. There's no super scoop ups. There's no mixed herbs. Nothing like that. So I'm just trying to plan out carefully who to attach the energies to so that I can attack next turn. I think it's probably best to attach the energies to Raichu and Alolan Raichu in case our opponent goes for something like a knockout on our active, or if they decide to go for something like Wondrous Lab. They still haven't got out of Fairy Charm Lightning, so it's great that we're able to just attack directly into these Gardevoir Sylveons. Maybe their Lightning Charms are prized. Maybe they just have difficulty searching them out. There's a Cherish Ball, so we'll see exactly what our opponent goes for there. There's a Xerneas. And I know last game we made the mistake with the Lysander Labs and the Jirachi that basically lost us the game, or maybe it could have given us a chance to win the game. Not entirely sure about it, because we can't guess the future. So we'll see. We'll definitely make that a priority of what we can do this game. There's a coach trainer, so it's not a greens. Maybe they won't have any way out of it. Maybe they won't get a tag switch. Oh, they got a normal switch there. And they will be able to get the knockout that way. just by going 150 with Kaleidostorm. They're going to go for the good old Wondrous Lab. That's fine with Wondrous Lab. We already have the extra energy to use Lightning Ride GX to get the knockout. So let's see exactly how it goes. They're up 3 prize cards. This would be a great turn for us to use Reset Stamp on our opponent because they're drawing 3 prize cards and they're going to be at 3 prize cards afterwards. So let's just start powering up this Tapu Koko Prism Star on the bench. There's our Lysander Labs. Let's go Lightning Ride GX. That will knock it out for 250 damage and we'll send up Jirachi. Hopefully we can get another Lysander Labs here. Cynthia. Switch. Lightning Energy. Okay, so we'll see exactly what our opponent plays down here. I don't know exactly what they should do. Maybe they'll lead with the Xerneas, because the Xerneas is only worth 2 prize cards. So, we gotta look at exactly what our opponent can do with this Pokemon. They can use Aurora Horns to knock us out. They can use Sanctuary GX to move all the damage counters from each of their Pokemon to my Jirachi. Or they can use Overrun to do some damage to the active and the bench. Gotta watch out for those power plants, so our Lysander Labs is gone. Hopefully our opponent does not get a Fairy Charm Lightning type. It's possible that it doesn't matter. They're worried that we just have our second Lysander Labs. Or maybe they're both stuck away in the prize cards. It's very possible. Because you want to be using every exact moment that you can to sneak out the wins. I wonder which Pokemon they're going to bring up. Maybe they'll bring up... Oh, they're just going to go right for the Raichu and Alolan Raichu GX. And this is where we want to try to get double custom catchers to try to win this game. So there's an Electro Power. We might as well go for... Have they used their other custom catchers this game? They've only used 2. How many escape boards have we used this game? We've used none of them, so I think there's a pretty good chance that we draw into an escape board. Let's switch into the Jirachi. Let's go Lightning Energy on Tapu Koko. Try to power that Pokemon up. And let's go for a Cynthia. We always want to use Cynthia first before going with Stellar Wish. And there's a custom catcher there for us. So we have our options on what we can do. We could always retreat into another Jirachi and hope that our opponent doesn't have double custom catchers. Ah, Volkner. That could be really good for us. Okay. So with no other options available for our turn, we need to hope that our opponent doesn't have double custom catcher to knock out our Raichu and Alolan Raichu. So we're going to pass our turn because there's not much else we can do at all. Actually, you want to know what? We could do one more thing. Let's PokeCom away this to grab out a Zapdos, because we can attack with Zapdos in this matchup if necessary. So let's go ahead and pass our turn. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have double custom catchers or a Green's Exploration. So maybe our opponent will just... Oh, they're going to use Coach Trainer, so that's not a Green's Exploration. That's really good for us. If they don't really have too much going on, I'm assuming they're going to use Aurora Horns to knock out our active Jirachi. There's not too much else our opponent can do. Fairy Charm Ultra Beast. It's not too bad. It's the same type of Fairy Charm, except it only works against Ultra Beast Pokemon. We don't need to worry about that, but a deck like Blacephalon GX would have to worry about that. So we're doing Aurora Horns. There's the knockout on the Jirachi. They didn't get the double custom catchers. Here's our chance to try to win the game. So let's see exactly what we can do. Here, we basically want to get double custom catchers up to attack the Gardevoir Sylveon GX. And we have the Volkner in our hands, so we can get the second custom catcher because we have 3 prize cards left, and that's a 3 prize card Pokemon. However, there's a good chance our opponent has a switch in their hands. So let's go. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in their hand. We probably want to reset stamp them. So before we decide to grab any cards out with Volkner, sometimes when you need 2 cards, it's better to use Jirachi, so you have a higher chance to get one of them. And there we go. We got the custom catcher. So that means since we got one of the pieces we needed, we can use Volkner to grab the other piece that we need. So let's grab the reset stamp. And I don't know if we have an energy to grab out of the deck. I think that's it for energies, actually. So we're just going to grab a reset stamp. We're going to put our opponent down to 2 cards left in their hands, since they only have 2 prize cards left. Let's use double custom catchers. Bring up their Gardevoir Sylveon. And we're going to retreat into the Raichu and Alolan Raichu, and we're going to use Tandem Shock for 160 damage. And they're paralyzed. The big issue that we're going to have next turn is that we might not be able to attack with Tandem Shock again because we have 2 switches in our discard pile. And we don't have another lightning energy to hit for 100 damage with Tapu Koko. So we'll have to see exactly what our options are. Oh, maybe our opponent's going to whiff this Pokegear. I really hope they don't get a Green's Exploration to get the switch to win the game. Oh, Bill's Analysis. Well, they could still miss the switch off the 25 cards. How many switches have they played? You always want to ask yourself questions. They've already played 2 switches, so my hopes are the other 2 switches are in the prize cards. We'll see exactly what they get. Hopefully, if they get a Green's Exploration, we might lose the game. So our hope is that they don't get a Fairy Charm Lightning, and that they don't get a switch or a supporter. So we're asking for a lot here, but sometimes you just gotta hope. Oh, there's a power plant and a reset stamp. Looks like our opponent's just going to reset stamp us. Wow, I can't believe we made it into that turn. That reset stamp must have really hurt our opponent's deck. So, we got to think about what our options are. Let's double check our deck. And the only way for us to double check our deck is by playing Volkner or Electromagnetic Radar. We have our option of playing Cynthia, but I think we might actually have the win in our hands. And we have it in a sneaky way that you might not have thought of. So, since Cynthia doesn't have a great chance of getting us anything we need, and we only need a specific card, we can always double check through our deck with Electromagnetic Radar. So looking through here, we see that we have a lot of options. The Den AGX would be super cool, but our opponent has a power plant in play. So let's see exactly what we can grab. We have all of our electro powers, we have energy switches, and we have tag switches. So if you see exactly what energy switch and tag switch does, you might just be on the same page as me. So even though we don't have lightning energies in our deck, as you can see, we can grab an energy switch. Since we only need one energy, we can use energy switch to move our energy from our Raichu and Alolan Raichu to our Tapu Koko Prism Star. And just like the Bahia matchup, sometimes Tapu Koko Prism Star is an attacker. So even if our opponent got the Fairy Charm Lightning Energy, the Fairy Charm Pokemon tool last turn that blocks our GX Lightning attackers, we could retreat here, and we could go right into a Tapu Koko to attack with Mach Bolts. Alternatively, we could have just grabbed an Electro Power to knock out our opponent's active Pokemon, but it's better to think about the worst case scenario. Like I said, if our opponent had a Fairy Charm Lightning and they thought they would have been safe, the joke's on them because they lost the game. So that was super close, but this game is a great way to showcase that you are able to beat this deck. Sometimes if your opponent gets a little unlucky, or maybe if you get a little bit lucky, it's not a great matchup at all, and that's okay, because not every single deck will have a great matchup against every single deck. It's okay to lose sometimes, and you go in with a deck, and you gotta choose matchups, and you gotta make sure that it's a deck that you can accept some bad matchups with. So if you find yourself playing against a Gardevoir Sylveon deck, make sure you use your Lysander Labs, make sure you use your Zapdos, make sure you use your Tapu Koko Prism Star, and you follow the steps that we went through in this video. So I hope you understood exactly where we're going at, because I feel like we showcased exactly what to do in this matchup. I know we lost 2 of the games, and the other thing that I want to note is sometimes these games go long. If it's not going well for you and you're playing best of 3, feel free to concede the first game and jump right into a fresh game. Don't get too frustrated. Don't put yourself in a rough position. It's fine to lose sometimes against these tough matchups, and this is one of them. This is arguably one of the worst matchups for your deck, but as we saw in this last game, it's still possible for you to win. And if you're looking to see exactly learn more about the Gardevoir Sylveon deck, because you want to know what, when you're watching these videos, maybe it's one of those things where you'll find that you love one of these other strategies. Maybe instead of playing PikaRom, you want to try another deck like Gardevoir Sylveon, just to learn a little bit more about it. You could always see what the deck profile video is in the last video, so you could learn a little bit more about the deck. And as always, any questions you have, feel free to ask during our next coaching session. If you face this match and you're like, Zach, I completely forgot what to do, you could always rewatch these videos. These are personalized videos for you, Brandon. So I hope you enjoy watching them and that you are learning. Make sure that you just try to absorb as much as possible. And yeah, we're going to be going over some more videos. So feel free to check out the other videos as I create them. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, Brandon. I hope you enjoyed.